Hello, my name is Casey. I'm the Migraine Nutritionist. I need more water. Today we're talking about something I find super exciting and really interesting and something that can be really helpful for you. And that is migraine prodrome. I have another video where I really dive into the phases of a migraine attack. If you didn't know, there are 5 different stages, phases, steps to a migraine attack. But again, we're talking about phase number 1. I really like prodrome. Well, I don't like prodrome, but I like talking about prodrome. So what it translates to is pre-disease, or in our case, pre-migraine attack. It can last anywhere from a few hours before that painful attack phase that we usually think of with migraine, or sometimes even days before. I love prodrome because I think of it as our early warning signs of a migraine attack coming. And I know for a lot of us, there is this strong fear of the unknown or anxiety around migraine attacks. You don't know when they're gonna hit. You don't know where you're gonna be. If you're gonna be prepared, you should always be prepared. I like to have a migraine kit with me, and I actually, oh my gosh, sorry to keep plugging myself, but I have another video where I go through what's in my migraine kit, and that's something that I take on the go to relieve any migraine attacks that might happen when I'm out and about. I think that learning about what your prodrome phase looks like for you can really take away some of that anxiety, because you have sometimes several days in advance of a heads up. So first we're gonna talk about what those common prodrome symptoms are, and then we're gonna talk about how to identify and utilize that information. Common prodrome symptoms that can include, but aren't limited to, my brain just went blank. Oh, that's a great lead-in. Confusion or brain fog, fatigue or like weariness, drowsiness, sensitivity to stimuli. So if the lights are really bright, if the sounds are really loud, smells are really strong, but like excessively so, we're sensitive to those things. If you're having mood changes, like if you're irritable, having symptoms of depression or anxiety, increased urination, diarrhea or constipation, I almost said and and weird one, yawning. First of all, some of these things are really subtle. Maybe you're fatigued, and that's really easy to explain away because maybe you haven't been sleeping well, blah, 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 all these things. Some of them are really subtle, and like yawning, that's something we do somewhat regularly, right? So what can we do? I always recommend this, but tracking your attacks is so important, especially for this step. So what you wanna do is begin tracking. I have a free tracking template, like printable download that I'll link down below. You don't have to use that, you can use whatever you want, but that's free and it has all the basic things that you need to keep track of. But for the sake of what we're talking about today, you want to write down each migraine attack you have. You want to identify what symptoms you were experiencing shortly before the attack. And then after you're doing that for some time, you can reflect on that and see which things keep coming up. And then from there, once you kind of have that in your head already, whenever something is coming up that you know might be a prodrome symptom, you can really like help reinforce that by stopping and thinking like, does this make sense for me to have this symptom right now, or could it potentially be leading into a migraine attack? So for me, sometimes that's yawning. Again, we kind of yawn all the time, but if I find myself yawning and I'm sitting there thinking like it's the middle of the day, I'm not bored, I'm not tired, I'm just like doing normal things, why am I yawning right now? I want to yawn again, talking about yawning so much, but that can be a sign that maybe this is a signifier that a migraine attack is coming. So a lot of it's just kind of triggering your brain to identify when those symptoms come up so that you can discover what your trend is. And once you've discovered what your trend is, what your true prodrome symptoms are, what almost always leads into the next steps of a migraine attack, then you know what your early warning signs are. Again, it's a little bit time consuming to go through all those steps to figure it out, but it is so helpful because then you are never left in the dark. You always know that a migraine attack is going to come, which like is depressing obviously, but also like gives you great heads up warning. You can get your treatment strategies in place. Sometimes you can even use them on the earlier side of things to mitigate any potential migraine attack. So for example, if like coffee is really effective for you to, because of the caffeine, to end a migraine attack and get you relief, sometimes you can bump that up and do that a little bit sooner and completely avoid the attack that would follow. So I love prodrome. I love it because once you identify it, you have no more well, you still have fear of an attack, but not fear of the unknown factor of an attack. So that anxiety is gone. You have a great heads up, so you're able to prepare for the upcoming attack and sometimes even stop it before it starts. And also you're just way more in touch with your symptoms and your patterns, and that can be really great information to speak about with your physician and get on a great treatment plan and have more, just information is power. So I think that this is important, and I would love to hear if you utilize that. And if you have any questions about this topic, drop them in the comments below. Talk to you next time.